Okay, everyone, so let's just do the questions for today. It's not too many, it shouldn't take us too long, so let's see what happens. Dear Ajahn, what are the legal ramifications of being a monastic? What happens to your pensions, bank accounts, passports, insurances? Do they all become null and void? Or do they transfer over to your new identity? What happens if you need to return to lay life? Rather because nothing is certain, right? Later. Thank you. All right, so pensions, I never really worked very much. I don't really have a problem with pensions. I've always been I've been as lazy as possible. That's always been my kind of motto in life. Be lazy. Yeah, Ajahn Brahm would approve of that idea. So sometimes what happens with other people's pensions, however, that you kind of direct them in a certain way, so that pensions get paid out to your children, or it gets paid out to some other organization, but you don't receive it personally. Yeah, so you direct your pensions in a certain way before you ordain, ideally. Sometimes after you ordain. That's okay. So the idea is that you don't receive any money. Yeah, that's the idea. Money goes somewhere else. Bank accounts. You don't have any bank accounts as a monk. Some monks may have a frozen bank account that is run by someone else through power of attorney, so that you don't really have any direct involvement with it, and then they would deal with that account as they see fit. Passport, you have to have a passport, right? In fact, I have 2 passports. I got more passport as a monk than as a layperson, because I am now Australian and Norwegian. Half Norwegian and Australian on this side. That is kind of what I am. So this is which means I'm a bit confused, perhaps. But anyway, I got 2 passports. It's kind of nice to have 2 passports. Yeah, that means your identity kind of gets a little bit less. Do I feel Australian? Not really. Lived in Australia for over 30 years. Still don't feel very Australian. Do I feel Norwegian? Kind of less and less. Been so long since I lived there. What do I feel like? Nothing. Just feel like, human being, maybe, I don't know, something like that. And it's kind of nice to lose all of these kind of identities a little bit. Insurances, I don't really need any insurances, yet nothing to insure, so that's kind of fine. So don't need any insurances. Bodhinyana Monastery is insured through the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. That's all run by the committee, by the lay people. Nothing really much to do with the monks. Okay, we oversee it a little bit and we are part of it, but we don't really run it as such. So the monastery is insured, but I don't have any personal insurances. Can't really insure my robe or anything like that. I guess I could have travel insurance, when I travel, but I never have travel insurance because I don't really get sick, so I don't need travel insurance. If the flight gets cancelled, then you get refund anyway by the airline. But I guess when I start getting sick, I'm getting older now, so maybe it won't be long before I start getting sick, Maybe I have to start to get travel insurance, but usually I never get travel insurance. So far, it's been no problem, and I travel quite a lot, so I probably saved a lot of money, actually. How do they transfer over to your new identity? I still use my lay name in my passport because it's just simpler that way. Don't really have to change my name. As a Norwegian citizen, you cannot actually change your name that easily. You can, but there are certain limits. I think if I went to Norway and said I'd like my name to be Brahmali, they would say, "What? That's not on the list." So too hard. What happens if I need to return to lay life later because nothing is certain? What happens? It's no problem. I just return to lay life and that's it. So I don't have any plans to do that, but it shouldn't be too hard, I think. My family is still there. My mother is quite well off, so I wouldn't have any problem with looking after myself. And so easy enough. So but that doesn't mean I have any intentions to return to lay life. Just to make that clear here. Honestly, can't see any reasons. Why would I return to lay life? What is there to be done in lay life? Nothing to do in lay life. So what's the point? Anyway, Dear Ajahn, how are the things that lay people can give up to level up our contentment? Can give up to level up our contentment? I see. The main thing is to be content with what you have. Yeah, to kind of not always desire more. I mean, it's one of those things, especially when you start out in life, you are young. Then you often have an idea of what you want to have in life. You want to have this kind of house, this kind of car, this kind of job, this kind of partner, this kind of this, whatever. Yeah, so we often start off with quite a lot of desires and attachments in life. I had that when I went to university. I had an idea of all the things I was going to do and whatever, yeah? And that was a real waste of time, as you can see. There was no point in having all of those desires and ideas. And so the same thing for you. Just come to an end. Be happy with what you've got. Realize that even if you get more, it's not going to make life much better. Yeah, you have plenty. Everyone here has plenty enough to have a reasonably good life. You have shelter, you have enough food, and you have the BGF. Yeah, right here you can come to. You have all the important things in life. So be content with what you have. That is the main thing, because that striving towards more is often the problem. And that means you don't have to worry too much about whether you get a raise in your salary and all these kind of things. They become very secondary in your life. But I would also recommend you, if you can, reduce the complexities of life. Do that. Some people live very complicated lives with all kinds of things. And if you simpler you can make life, the more you can focus on spiritual things rather than focusing on all the other stuff. And, I know lay people who live really, really simple lives. I know a lady in Australia. She just lived on her own property. She wasn't married. She had been married before, but she wasn't married anymore. And she just lived on her own. And she had this large property of 150 acres in the forest around her. And she lived in this house. And she was just meditating all the time. And she was this remarkable lady. She had really good meditation as well. I don't know what she had. She was just exceptional. Very few lay people like that. But it shows you, if you simplify things, you can do a lot as a lay person. So see if you can simplify your life a little bit as well. Get rid of one of your cars. I don't know what. I'm not just making things up. Do whatever you want. It's up to you. But I'm just saying simplification is always possible. Like my mum, one house. Mum, please, one house is enough. Don't make it so complicated. It's expensive to have two houses. All this money goes into all of these kind of things, No, I want two houses. Okay, whatever. Do what do what you want. So something like that. Dear Ajahn, thank you in advance. Post-death review and rebirth. Buddhists believe that rebirth is immediate and destination is automatic according to one's karma. Not Buddhist, some Buddhists. You should put some in front there. Not all Buddhists believe that. I don't believe that. I consider myself a Buddhist. Just to be clear here. I heard from a Theravada monk that there was a devotee who was approached by a luminous being in her dream, asking her to be his mother. Okay, this happened a few times, but the lady declined as she wanted to practice. Okay, that's a nice little story. Wow, okay. Does this mean that the consciousness has a choice of parents, or is it possible because it is a higher being that requested her? Okay, so it is quite common for Buddhists to believe that rebirth is immediate, but it's not a universal belief. It is a belief that comes from the Abhidhamma. You have the Chuti Chitta and the Patisandhi Vijnana according to Abhidhamma, and the Chuti Chitta is the mind state that is the last one in the previous life. Patisandhi Vijnana is the next relinking consciousness for the next life. And so there's no intermediate existence according to the developed Abhidhamma ideas. Of the Theravada school, but this is only in Theravada. There are other schools of Buddhism where they did believe in an intermediate existence, Antarabhava. And so then the question is Theravada always right just because we are Theravada, or could it be that sometimes it is wrong and other schools were right? And this is kind of the distinction between Theravada and being someone who follows the Buddha. being Theravada means that you believe in the Abhidhamma, you believe in commentaries, Visuddhimagga, you believe in all kinds of stuff. But being a follower of the Buddha means that you take the 4 main Nikayas as your main sustenance as a Buddhist. It's a little bit different. Am I Theravada? I don't really, whatever, you can give me whatever label you wish, but I don't believe, take on board all the later scriptures on faith. The main thing is to be a follower of the Buddha. And so sometimes maybe the Theravadins were wrong, and in this area I think they were wrong. The Abhidhamma authors and the commentarial authors, this seems to be an intermediate existence. And so I would say that no, rebirth is not immediate. However, yes, it is according to one's karma. So there was a devotee that was approached by a luminous being in her dream, asking her to be his mum, which is interesting. Because it was a dream, you cannot be absolutely sure whether it was real or not. It's probably hard to, sometimes it can be very difficult to tell dreams, true dreams, from dreams that are not true. The same thing when you have a nimitta in your meditation. Sometimes you can see all kinds of things in your meditation, and people are far too quick to believe that what you see in meditation must be the absolute truth. Often it is not. Often it is created by the mind. It will seem very real because when your meditation goes deeper, your mind becomes very clear. The clarity makes things appear very powerful and very urgent and important and true. That doesn't mean they are true. I've heard so many things from Buddhist monks who say this will happen, guaranteed. Third World War will happen in 2012. Very senior Buddhist monks, who very many people believe are arahants, will say these kind of things, and they're often wrong. Nothing happens. You would think that they would know because they are really developed, but actually even they often can't tell the difference between reality and what is made up in the mind. So these can just be mental projections and are not necessarily true. However, could it be true? Maybe it could. Does it mean that consciousness has a choice of parents? Well, you can at least it means you can go to someone and ask them, will you be my parent? That at least it would mean that. But maybe they will reject it. And because if they reject it, well, they don't really have a choice. Is that the case? Maybe it is the case, but I think it is rare. It is not something that you usually hear about when people have near-death experiences. Usually what you hear about is that they see their life review and then they are, and then kind of they can feel drawn by that karma in a certain direction, either towards a heavenly realm or a lower rebirth. Is this possible? Maybe. There are so many things that are possible. So I'm not ruling it out. But I don't think it is the standard way that things happen. Dear Ajahn, is it true that the Buddha allows drinking alcohol in moderation or as medication? Please say yes, please, please. No, it doesn't say that. That's a meditation. There's a meditation center that allows drinking beer and use alcohol in cooking. Wow, what's Ajahn advice? Thank you, Ajahn. Wow, dodgy meditation center, yeah. No, there is no such thing as alcohol in moderation. Even as medication, as a Buddhist monk, you're not allowed to drink alcohol in medication if you can taste the alcohol or smell the alcohol. If there is so little alcohol that you can't taste it or smell it, then it is okay. So there has to be very, very little, no idea that it is there. Basically, then it is actually acceptable. Using it, beer, no, drinking beer is not acceptable, except if it is alcohol-free. But even alcohol-free, beer apparently has a little bit of alcohol, but maybe that is so little that it is okay as long as it's called free. I don't know. But ordinary beer has alcohol in it. And you drink enough, you will feel drunk. And it will change your ability to make good decisions. So no, that is not really okay. And this meditation center should get some stricter rules. Using alcohol in cooking, that can be okay, because very often when you use it in cooking, it evaporates, and you're just left with a certain taste, and that's fine. If it evaporates, it's fine. However, if it is used like in tiramisu, the famous kind of Italian thing where it is soaked in something, and you can taste the alcohol very clearly, then it is not okay. So, but don't become too strict about these things either. Be reasonable. Okay. So if you occasionally happen to eat something that tastes a bit of alcohol, okay, it's no big deal, right? It is a very minor thing if it happens occasionally. But if a meditation center has a policy that beer is allowed, that I think is not good. That is not really acceptable. So you should go there and you should complain. Whatever, up to you. You do whatever you think is right. But you are certainly allowed to say something gently, kindly, out of compassion in that case. Well, same handwriting. Very nice handwriting, I must say. Some people have beautiful handwriting. I wish I could write like this. This reminds me a little bit of Ajahn Brahm's handwriting. His is even better, but this is not. This is nice. Okay, anyway, dear Ajahn, thank you in advance. Could you explain again the stream enter? The 3 things a stream enter always keeps in mind. Stream enter is a sotapanna question mark. What are the defilements, i.e. greed, hate and delusion, that have been eradicated once a stream enter becomes a stream enter? Okay, let's start there with that. What are the 3 things a stream enter always keeps in mind? We saw the sutta before. We saw the sutta from the Kosambhya Sutta. It is found there. It is all there in that sutta. Let's see if I can. Maybe I can. No, I won't bring it up now because it is in that sutta, Majjhima Nikaya number 48, and it gives you that simile of the cow and the calf. And the 3 things that the stream enter always has in mind is the Adhi Sila, higher morality, higher conduct, Adhichitta, the higher mind, which is like samadhi, deep meditation, Adhipanya, the higher wisdom, the insight. In other words, the factors of the path, they always have in mind. This is what they are interested in. This is what gives meaning to the life of the stream enter. Everything else is things you have to do in life, but that is not what life is about. It's all kind of irrelevant on the side. So these are the things that they always keep in mind automatically. Not that they have to try, it's automatic for the stream enter. The stream enter is a sotapanna, exactly. Sota means stream, apanna means like having reached, having attained. So you have attained the stream. Sotapanna. So why are you called the stream enter? What is that stream that you have entered? It's the stream of the Dhamma. That stream takes you to Nibbana. You can no longer step out of that stream. You are guaranteed. If you are in that stream, and you will go to Nibbana automatically. That's why you have attained the stream. It takes you to Nibbana whether you want to or not, but guaranteed that you want to, so you don't have to worry. What are the defilements that have been eradicated once a person becomes a stream enter? There's 3 fetters that have been abandoned. Fetter, a fetter is like a bond. A fetter is something that ties you to something. It's like a rope or whatever. And the 3 fetters are Sila, Batta, Paramasa. You know these expressions in Pali? Some of you do? Okay, some of you don't. Sila means virtue. Batta is Vatta, it means observances. Paramasa means holding on to. So you have given up the holding on, you've given up the holding on to virtues and observances. This is number 1. Second one, you have given up doubt. Third one, you have given up, doubt is called vicikiccha in Pali. You've given up, third one is the view of a personal existence, of an identical personal inside. It's called sakkaya ditthi. These are the 3 things you have given up. So what are these 3 things? So the reason why you have given up holding on to virtue and observances is because you have become fully virtuous as a sotapanna. You have become perfected in virtue. Sila paripunna, perfect in virtue. And so it becomes part of who you are. And so you no longer need to hold on to it. If you are not a stream enter, you have to hold on to virtue to a certain degree. Otherwise, you will not be virtuous. Otherwise, you will say, yeah, today I'm important to drink. It's important office party. Okay, bring out the alcohol. Yeah, because it's important. Yeah, so if you don't hold on, you say, no, the Buddha said I have to hold on. Don't drink. Yeah? It's too easy to commit errors or to do stupid things if you're not holding on at all. A little bit of holding on is necessary to be perfect in virtue. You don't become a stream enterer by letting go of virtue and observances. It's a kind of very important point. Sometimes I hear people say, oh yeah, you have to give up 3 fetters, right, to become a stream enterer. You have to give up holding on to virtue and observance. That means I have to start now by not holding on to those things. Yeah? Otherwise, how can I give it up? Wrong. The wrong way to think. These things are a result of the practice. This is not the kind of practice that you do to get there. They are a result of the practice. So you stop holding on to virtue and observance. It's because you become a stream enterer. It is not the path, it is the result. A very important distinction. People read these ideas of the fetters in the wrong way. You should hold on to those things, and then when you become a stream enterer, automatically you let go. The same thing with doubt. Yeah, it is natural to have a degree of doubt before you become a stream enterer. Why? Because you haven't seen the teaching. The moment you have seen the Dhamma of the Buddha, you have the same insight as the Buddha had. You had the right view. You know what's going on. Because you know what's going on, how can you have any doubt? You don't have any doubt about what exactly? Well, about what the Buddha taught, about what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, what teachings are real Buddhism, what are not real Buddhism. Yeah, what is Nibbana, what is not Nibbana, all of that you know. You don't have any doubt about things that have to do with the spiritual life. You have doubts about other things, however, because there are many things in the world you won't know about, of course, but when it comes to the spiritual life, you have certainty. The last one is called Sakkaya Ditthi. Sakkaya means existing body or existing heap, existing personality. Ditthi is view. The view of an existing personality or an existing person is the view that there is some inherent essence in a human being that is stable and always there. You have seen that all phenomena are impermanent. Everything is always changing. There's nothing to hold on to, and so you know that that is the wrong view, and so you don't have that view anymore. Sakkaya Ditthi has been given up. These are the 3 fetters. Why are they called fetters? Because they bind you to samsaric existence. They perpetuate the rebirth process. New rebirth, new re-old age, new re-illness, new re-death, etc., 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 going on and on into the future. The fetters are being loosened. These are the first 3. Then there's 2 more. That gets weakened. You become a Sakadagami. 2 more, those same 2 eliminated. You become Anagami. And then finally the last 5 out of 10 fetters become eliminated when you become the Arahant, the fully enlightened person. All right. Question number 2. Wow, okay. How many questions? Okay. Sharing of merit. Would our ancestors be able to receive the merits we dedicate if we don't know their names? Can we just say our ancestor? You can just say your mum and dad. You can say anyone. And then any ancestor who is there will be actually receive that merit. This is the interesting thing, yeah? Or you can just say ancestors, yeah? All ancestors, please. So dedicate to merit. But you can also say specifically to your parents and all other ancestors. You don't know if your parents are going to be reborn in a place where they can receive merit. Maybe your parents are in heaven, rejoicing. Yay! And they're very happy in heavenly realm. Yeah? And then you just give it to the other ancestors instead. When we share merits to sentient beings who is not covered under this category, i.e., who is not able to receive and who needs to be specifically added to receive the merits? Well, the only beings who can receive merit are the Petas, Peta realm. Yeah, this is specific in the suttas, as I understand it. And so you have to be reborn there, and many beings are reborn there, so it's quite common to be reborn in the Peta Loka. So you will have some ancestors who are reborn there. Yes, that's all you have to do. Just dedicate it to ancestors reborn in Peta Loka. You don't have to mention Peta Loka, but they are the only ones who can receive it, and so you will be fine. Will ancestors be included? Usually it is people who have some attachment to you who will be covered. And so people who are not part of your family, I think, are less likely to be able to receive the merit. Okay, wow, that was a long one. So let us move on to the next one now. Dear Ajahn, in the translated text there are several words used for samadhi: immersion, stillness and concentration. Is this perhaps just literary style? Or do those translated words denote different degrees of samadhi? Or is it a preference by different teachers from different Theravada traditions? So these are different preferences. They have nothing to do with different degrees of samadhi. This is nothing about degree. It has to do with preference. And you will note that all of these translations, they give you a slightly different feeling for what samadhi is like. Yeah? And so in the sense, from our point of view, it can be very helpful, because when you add all of these words, you get more of a complete idea of what samadhi actually is. So immersion, that is this translation favored by Bhante Sujato. Yeah? And I told him off for using immersion, but he wouldn't listen to me. Yeah? This is typical, right? People don't listen to you. You think you have the problem? I have exactly the same problem. Yeah? Even though you know you're right, no one will listen to you. Sorry, I'm being naughty here. So, but still, the idea of immersion has a certain meaning. It is not wrong. One of the translations these days for jhana is absorption. Why do they use that translation? Because you are absorbed, you are within something. Your mind doesn't leak out into the world outside. It's completely absorbed within itself. It doesn't go out into the five senses. Yeah? So it's absorbed. Immersion is a similar kind of idea. When you immerse something, it means that it is completely contained in something else. So, you washing your dishes, you immerse the dishes in the water. They're completely surrounded by water. Yeah, there's no air getting access to it. And so that is a parallel translation to the idea of absorption. It means you're completely in a bubble within yourself. This is the idea of immersion. The reason I don't like it is not because it's wrong, but because to me it's kind of cold kind of word. It doesn't have any emotional impact. Yeah, immersion, it sounds very technical and intellectual. It doesn't really have any emotional power to it. To me, I feel, yeah, whatever, yeah, immersion, okay, sounds nice, yeah. Kind of doesn't really draw you in. Yeah, immersion, wow, great, I want to get there. It doesn't have that kind of feeling, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad someone agrees with me, otherwise feel bad. Well, then you have concentration. Concentration is the traditional way that samadhi is translated by people like Bhikkhu Bodhi. And the reason why they use that word is because the mind comes together. Yeah, it is focusing on one thing. It's like when you're reading a book and you're fully immersed in that book, or you're watching a movie and you're fully focused on that movie. It's like you are concentrated on that movie. Or you are writing a report. Ideally, you go to work and you're fully focusing on writing a report or reading what you have to read. It's called concentration. The danger with the word concentration is that it very often applies willpower. You are concentrating. Concentrate, right? You go to school. Concentrate. Okay, concentrate. And you try really hard. And at the end of the day, you are exhausted because you've been trying so hard to concentrate. But the Buddhist, the meditation idea of concentration is a natural coming together of the mind through natural causes, because you are enjoying what you're doing. You don't force it, you do not make it happen. That is why I say don't focus on the breath. Enjoy being with the breath. It's a very different attitude, like enjoying being in the forest and all these kind of things. Yeah, it's a different kind of concentration. It's a natural focusing of the mind that the mind does by itself because it is enjoying what it is doing. This is the problem with the word concentration. And Ajahn Brahm does not like concentration. He's the one who made this point, and I think he's right. And so if you come to Bodhinyana Monastery, don't use the word concentration. This is a hint, yeah? If you want to be friends with Ajahn Brahm, and it's a good idea to be friends with Ajahn Brahm, don't use that word. He will do absolutely nothing if you use it. But anyway. And then we have the word stillness. Stillness is Ajahn Brahm's translation of the word samadhi. The word doesn't literally mean that, but it is an experience. This is what you experience in samadhi. You experience stillness, yeah? Complete stillness, no movement, nothing happening at all. And stillness is a beautiful word. Stillness, to me, the reason I like this and the reason why I follow Ajahn Brahm in using this word is because it has an emotional, it has a feeling to it. Yeah, we can all relate to the word stillness. Stillness draws you in. It is something that we all can aspire towards because it is beautiful. Yeah, the still day outside when there's no wind. Stillness always has a positive emotional connotation, and we want to go there. Much more so than the word immersion, also more so than concentration. And it's important that the Dhamma should be attractive. We should be drawn towards it. And this is one reason why stillness is very helpful. So these are some of the preferences and why we have these differences in translation. And so that's how it goes. All right. Dear Ajahn, I am not sure if this is anxiety, but I feel like I'm going crazy. Why? For example, after placing money in the donation box outside, I keep wondering if I actually did it. I was urged to check multiple times, till the point of physically shaking the box to check. I even dreamt of it last night. This also happens in daily situations like turning off switches and taps. If I may also ask one more question, since entering adult life, I find it difficult to be genuinely happy. I know focusing on the Dharma is important, but what else can I do? Thank you. Okay, so so maybe this is a kind of anxiety. Yeah, maybe your mind is kind of very preoccupied with something else, and so you kind of your reality is a bit blurred because of that, right? Because you are so preoccupied and you're thinking about all kinds of things, and so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It doesn't sound like some terrible thing. Okay, you forget to put money in the donation box. It's not such a big deal. Yeah, it's not a kind of major problem. But maybe you should seek someone to help you a little bit. I mean, the Dhamma, of course, is going to be helpful. The Dhamma is going to be helpful because in the long run, if you live well, good things happen to you. Yeah, you will come out, you will feel better, you will become more happy, you will become more balanced. All the good things will happen. However, you may also need to seek more than just the Dhamma. Yeah, sometimes we need support from outside. And if this is really troubling you and you find it very difficult, then go and see someone who can help you. I know that the BGF here has some counselors. Yeah, go and speak to those. Have a chat with Bobby and find out who those counselors are, and see if you can sit down and have a chat with them. And then you can find some deeper help with that immediate problem. It is not worthwhile going through life with these kind of problems. It's important to seek help when we are going through difficult situations. So please seek a bit of help. Don't feel bad about seeking help. We all need that sometimes. Everyone has difficult times in life when we need that kind of support. So please do that. That's what I recommend you to do. It doesn't sound to me like you're going crazy, but it sounds like maybe you could do with a bit of help. So that is probably connected to the thing that you find it difficult to be genuinely happy. Yeah, these things are probably connected to each other, and so if you find it difficult to be genuinely happy, that's probably part of the same thing. Yeah, so the same thing again. Seek some help, seek some support. Carry on with your Buddhist practice, and all of these things together gradually will get you out of the rut that you are in, the problem that you're in. The main thing to remember is that if you live well, if you live with kindness, you are going to have a good future. This is kind of the point of the Dhamma. Good people have a bright future. Yeah, remember that, and then carry on living well, and you will have some good consequences. Okay, last question for tonight. Dear Ajahn, my mother has been practicing Buddhism and attending Buddhist discussion meetings for over 40 years. However, she is still very critical and judgmental of friends and relatives. I have recently reminded her gently to be more mindful of her thoughts and speech. Unfortunately, she got upset and accused me of being critical and unkind to her instead. We learned yesterday that our parents should be honored and respected always. In this instance, did I make a mistake by highlighting her critical nature to her and reminding her to be mindful of those words? Thank you, Ajahn, for your advice and guidance. No, you did not make a mistake. Sometimes, we do this with the best intentions, but people take it the wrong way. So I don't think you made a mistake. You did things out of care for your mum and out of care for your other relatives, and so you did something that probably was right. But maybe you can learn something from it nevertheless. And what we can often learn is that how we approach being critical is so important for other people's ability to take on board our advice. Yeah. So if you're going to say something to your mum, be really careful. If you are the son or the daughter, it can be very difficult to communicate to our parents. Yeah, it can be very hard because of all that time, all that relationship, all the things that go between. And so, if you want to say to mum, sit her down, bring her a nice cup of tea, and say, "Mum, okay, give her a hug first of all. Yeah, Mum, I love you. Thank you for bringing up so nicely. You have been a great mum in so many ways." Okay, obviously some ways not, but many ways very, very good, yeah? And then say to her, "There's one little thing that's bothering me. It's really hard. Would you consider listening to me out of compassion? I know you have a kind heart. Are you okay? Is this a good time for me to bring it up? If it's not okay, I'll do it some other time." Be really gentle and kind, yeah? Really, so she feels really at ease with you. And then she will probably say, "Okay, you can say," yeah? What can she say after you say all of that, yeah? And then maybe she will listen. I don't think she will get upset if you can be really, really gentle and kind in this way. So try to learn how to be critical, yeah? It's really hard to give feedback in such a nice way, but we learn so much about that. Be like Ajahn Brahm when we give feedback. When Ajahn Brahm gives me feedback, it's impossible not to listen. Yeah, I really have to listen because it's just the way he does it. It's so beautiful. Try to be like that. And when we learn that, it's amazing what we can do in the world. It reminds you sometimes of people who are very spiritually developed. They can say almost anything and they can get away with it. Yeah, even I can sometimes say things and get away with it. And, it's like the famous story of Lumpur Cha, Ajahn Chah. And he very famously, I don't know if I should say this, but maybe I shall. I have to say it now. It's too late to stop now. So, but many of you probably heard this story already. But on one of the large days at Wat Pa Pong was his monastery in Thailand. On the Vesak day or whatever, there was thousands of people. He was a very, very popular monk, or hundreds of people or thousands of people or whatever would come to the monastery. And then he would give a Dhamma talk. And at the end of the Dhamma talk, he would then ask them, not at the end, but maybe during the Dhamma talk, how many of you are keeping the 5 precepts? And this is kind of really interesting, right? Because how many do you think? I mean, here at the VGF, probably a lot of you are keeping the 5 precepts already. And good on you. Well done. Congratulations. Please keep on doing that. And if you're not doing it already, start from right now to do it, please. And so he asked the crowd, remember this is Thailand. Everyone is born to be a Buddhist. And when you're born to be a Buddhist, you don't take the Buddhism so seriously sometimes. That's part of the problem of being born a Buddhist. And so the crowd said there was hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people. 2 people lifted the hand to keep the 5 precepts. Right? So be proud of yourself, yeah? Because you are already doing much better. In our Buddhist society in Perth, we have I have 2,000 members, over 1,000 members keep the 5 precepts. Yeah, it's kind of great. What a wonderful thing that is. And sometimes we don't appreciate ourselves enough when we see that. And then Ajahn Chah looks at the audience, yeah, and he says to the audience, you are all dog excrement. He doesn't use the word excrement, he uses a ruder word than that, but you know what I'm trying to say, yeah? And of course, and they would all laugh, and they would all have a good time and think it was funny, because if you are Ajahn Chah, you can basically say whatever you want, and people know that he is saying it out of compassion, out of kindness, not really to be rude or to be harsh. And so that's kind of the power of someone with really good qualities. And you potentially also have those qualities there. Build up those qualities within. And as you build up those qualities within, you will have far more power to help other people. Because you can say things to them that you could never say before, and they will listen to you. Because they will feel your compassion. They will feel your kindness. It becomes a superpower inside of you. Yeah, so your ability to help others will depend on your own development. So develop yourself as much as you possibly can. Then also you become like a beacon in the world. Yeah, you become someone who really can make a difference for everyone else, including or maybe especially your family members. Family, often the most difficult thing of all, but you will find that even then something will change, something will move, and that is a wonderful thing if it happens. Wow, it is within 30, it's exactly 4:30. Well, I don't know how these things happen, but it's exactly 4:30. And so it is time to pay respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So let's pay respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha.